Hello friends. Antarctica is the only continent which isn't a country, doesn't have a government nor any indigenous tribal living there for ages. One of the most obvious reason is that it is coldest continent on Earth. The temperature can go as low as -89 degrees C. Additionally, it is also the windiest place on Earth, with snowstorm of 300 km per hour that can make blind. Antarctica is also the world's driest continent, to extent that you might be surprised to know that it is considered as a desert. There is only around 51 mm of rain per year. Even when it's rain, it turns into a snow when before reaching the ground. So in a way, Antarctica is the only place on Earth with little to no influence of humans. But it doesn't mean countries all across the world haven't tried to take over Antarctica. Here are too much countries like France, Chile, Norway, Australia, New Zealand, claims on the different area of the Antarctica. So it is truly Antarctica truly divided into these countries? In today's video, let's get to know the interesting geopolitics and history of Antarctica. Antarctica is the composite portrait of continent which has challenged man since first he can sail beyond the limit of his horizon. The Antarctica continent is surrounded by frozen seas. The south, the bottom of the world, is considerably colder than the top of the world. Mission to study the weird wonders of Antarctica, for the Song of Antarctica's secret is but one piece in the greater puzzle that challenges man. All corners of the universe. Let's begin the story. Around 350 BC, the Greek philosopher Aristotle was among the first people to say that Earth is spherical. And the Greek was aware of the Arctic regions in the north. They had named it the Arctos. The word Arctos was derived from the bear. The constellation that we can see in the sky on of them is the Great Bear. They were inspired by that constellation. That's why they named the Arctic region Arctos. Because they know the Earth is spherical. They knew that the north and south are like mirror images, would have same features. So they named the unknown southern region Antarctos. It means antithetical to bear. And from here the name Antarctica was derived. Humans stepped on the Antarctica for the first time during the 1890s, but hundreds of years before Antarctica had started appearing on maps. When several explorers went to an expedition around the world, they knew if they went to the south of world, they come upon some land, but they don't know what was on the land exactly. This is why, when the French explorers made the world map in the year 1530, they had drawn Antarctica. They drew the two hemispheres, northern and southern hemisphere. The largest land mass in the middle of the southern hemisphere was named Terra Australis Incognita. It literally meant unknown southern land. After that, about 200 years later, 1773, British Naval Officer James Cook became the first person to go to the south of the Antarctica Circle. He was about 130 kilometers farther from Antarctica when he turned his ship around. Even though he hadn't seen Antarctica, he had seen icebergs with rock deposit on them. When he saw the rocks, he concluded the Terra Australis does exist. But going much closer to Antarctica was so dangerous that he had famously said, "I can be bold enough to say that no man will venture farther than I have done, and that land which lie to the south will never be explored." He was so sure that no one could reach the Antarctica, because the place was so perilous, with strong wind blowing and the ship at danger of hitting iceberg at any time. But his words were proven wrong after 50 years later. It is quite controversial as to who was first person to step on Antarctica, because several people claim to have been the first person. British, American Captain John Davis believed that he was the first person to do so because his ship was lost. The first disputed landing was in 1895, when a Norwegian ship called Antarctic reached its shores. 6 to 7 members of the crew of this ship got into a small boat and went on to the land. A Norwegian in the boat was Carsten Borchgrevink, claims that he landed before the boat and he was the first to step on it. But a man from New Zealand, Alexander, claims to have been on this boat, and to keep the boat steady. He was the first person to step out of the boat. These two people from the same boat got into the argument who was the first person to get off and to step out on land. After this, the first 20 years of the 1900s are known as the heroic era of the Antarctica. Because many expeditions we conducted during this time, there were many new scientific discoveries and found out many new things on Antarctica. It was the first time when we found out there are plants growing on this continent. When mosses were found on Antarctica. After this heroic era, came the colonial period of the Antarctica, when several countries tried to lay claim on Antarctica. Between 1908 to 1942, 7 countries claimed sovereignty over this continent. These countries are Australia, Chile, Norway, France, Argentina, UK and New Zealand. Apart from them, there were countries like USA, the Soviet Union, Japan, Germany, Belgium, Sweden, who were conducting new expeditions on Antarctica without claiming any territory. What do you think, friends? What should be Antarctica's future? Should things continue as countries collaborating together? Not allowed to do mining and drilling, and people can be allowed to go there for scientific research or tourism, or should we explore the Antarctica even more? Comment below to let me know. Please like the video and subscribe the channel.